Ka-Kafanee.
Aw man, Kanye. Every time I just think, it can't get any worse. He finds a way to make it worse.
But at least now it can't get much worse.
But it did get worse.
Because what on earth would compel you to wear a black KKK outfit with a Nazi chain? If someone said 10 years ago that Kanye was going to be wearing a black leather KKK outfit, crying because Cardi didn't put him on an album and put Kendrick on it instead, at the time probably wouldn't believe it, but hey, here we are. All year it seems like Kanye has just been pulling stunt after stunt. Earlier at the Grammys we saw his wife get naked, he had that weird link up with the Tate brothers, he put North on a song with Diddy, he had another weird Super Bowl commercial, and his Twitter becomes more unhinged by the day. A few weeks ago he did his interview with Academics where he wore a black KKK outfit. Even though the interview is over an hour long, it's really an hour of him just saying nothing and just being very bitter and jealous of his past collaborators and friends.
I'm angry. I'm jealous.
Because they're seeing more success than he is now. And he's trying to play the role of victim. But in actuality, Kanye has been the abuser throughout all these situations with all these different people. Throughout the years, we've seen Kanye multiple times yell at his close friends and collaborators, just like the video with Chance. Or when he was on stage yelling at Mike Dean. And even in his recent interview with Jocelyn Boy, he admitted to doing this.
That's how me and Mike Dean really fell out, because I was like screaming. I was like, man, I'm a grown-ass man. You screaming at me.
Pretty much regardless of any situation, he always deems the other artists that he's helping or collaborating with as lesser than himself. In the interview, he does continue to slander Virgil. And his main point of seeing Virgil as a traitor was because he took the job at Louis Vuitton.
Virgil is the Jesus of the niggas that work for me. Right? Because every nigga that worked for me would have rather been me.
To be fair, Kanye was offered the job at LV before Virgil by the CEO of LV's parent company, Bernard Arnault. But after a few months, the deal that they shook on was dropped, which is definitely something to be upset about. But at the same time, Kanye has done a lot of stunts and antics over the years, which would make him lose a position like that easily. And because Virgil went on to have one of the most legendary Louis Vuitton runs, and everything he did during that time was pretty much gold, and every person who's been around Virgil has always spoke highly of him. And Kanye saw that as Virgil taking his spot in culture and fashion, especially him being the Louis Vuitton Don.
I've been called a lot of names, mostly the Don, the Louis Vuitton Don.
But realistically, Kanye has self-sabotaged himself so many times that it's only his fault. So you can't be mad when someone else takes it. And especially for a guy that you saw as your brother at that time.
Flew to Paris for a hug.
It just shows that Kanye only likes to see people doing good, but not better than him.
By being less than any of competition in any of my professions. So I gotta guess, then I gotta stay the best man.
Or if there's a moment that's happening that's bigger than him, he has to make himself involved somehow, some way, even though it won't have anything to do with him.
Yo, Dot, I got you.
The same way that he's trying to take shine from Cardi's album because he wasn't featured on it. Even though he had production credits on 2 of the songs, that still wasn't enough for him.
What more do you want from me?
There's very few, if any, mainstream rappers that are relevant right now that actually would want to do a song with Kanye.
Why would I want to salvage relationships with broke-ass slaves and slave herders?
Which is Kanye's fault from what he's been saying recently on Twitter. But instead of being accountable for his actions, he's just blaming Jewish people.
It was a Jewish doctor.
And while I do believe that the label does have a part in why Kanye isn't on people's albums, even though he's been recording with them, I do think that that reasoning also comes down to the artist not wanting to be surrounded by what Kanye has been doing recently. With Cardi having the most anticipated rap album of the year, there's no reason why he should fumble this because Kanye wants to be on the album and Kanye's tweeting anti-Semitic tweets. All that does is ruin the work that Cardi's done building hype for the album and even just creating the sound of the album, all for Kanye to have a moment that he doesn't deserve. He also mentioned how Ty Dolla $ign was threatened by his label, saying that they threatened to cancel his tours and drop his artist Leon Thomas, who's having a great moment right now.
I'm gonna drop your artist, Leon. We're gonna cancel all your tours.
Ye said that him and Ty Dolla $ign originally agreed that he'd tweet,
Say, I'm not racist, but Ye is. We agreed upon that.
which is a horrible response, but after the label made him post about not standing with hate speech. He also spoke on not being featured on Utopia, even though Travis took 4 of his songs.
Trav left me off his album, took 4 of my songs from the ranch in Wyoming.
Travis was also in a similar position that Cardi had. He hasn't dropped an album in 5 years, so it's super highly anticipated. And then with Travis, he also had the Astroworld event. So the release of Utopia had to be perfect for Travis. If not, his career would have been in jeopardy even further. So it made no sense to add Kanye to the album especially because he was going through his first rant of anti-Semitic rhetoric during that time. And even though Travis didn't put him on the album, he did bring him out at multiple concerts, so it's not like he did nothing for him. On top of that, Travis gave him multiple features on the Vultures album. He also has this weird one-sided beef going with Kendrick, even trying to say that no one listens to Kendrick and that Kendrick has no hits and that he can't even rap.
They want somebody with no hits like Kendrick to do the Super Bowl.
Even though he recently said that he could, all of Kanye's hate for Kendrick really stems from his jealousy towards him. A big part of his jealousy is that Kendrick is having such a huge moment right now and he's being looked at as the king of rap and Kanye isn't.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
He also did what Kanye's been dreaming to do for so many years, which is beat Drake in a rap beef. And him dissing him now really makes no sense. Literally last year, we watched him insert himself into the Drake and Kendrick beef.
Yo, Dot, I got you.
With getting on the Like That remix, which no one even cared for, and Kendrick never even acknowledged it. He's also been dissing Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, which again is weird because after his performance, he literally was praising it and comparing it to Michael Jackson's.
I really loved the show. It was my favorite halftime show since like a Michael Jackson era.
The same way he has a one-sided beef with Kendrick, he also has one with Tyler going. And while I can understand why he would go after Kendrick, for him to go after Tyler makes absolutely no sense because Tyler has only supported Kanye throughout the years. And has never said anything negative about him in the public, and has always mentioned Kanye as one of his inspirations. He's also been calling Future washed, which is insane to say after Future went #1 3 times last year. And even a couple of months ago, Kanye premiered his own remix of Little Demon by Future.
The Switzerland for lunch, my whipper, what the fuck? Her friend don't wanna leave, temptation.
And again, like most music that Kanye's been putting out recently, no one really cared. And while on one hand, yes, Kanye has helped all these different artists throughout their career, like he's done songs with Future in the past. He made Kendrick the opener for the Yeezus tour, which was huge. He's worked with Travis extensively and pretty much mentored him. He's given Ty Dolla $ign a really big boost since they did the Vulture series, and he gave Cardi his first #1 single. He also brings up Jay-Z and Beyonce a bunch, and talks about the tweet that he put out about their kids.
You offended Jay-Z. Fuck him. Fuck him.
Randomly blames them for not sticking up for him when him and Kim Kardashian were going through problems regarding their kids.
Beyonce, you ain't helped me when I fucking was having problems with my kids. You could have used your influence. No, your influence is for politics.
Which doesn't make any sense because what on earth are they gonna influence or do for your relationship with your kids? And then he's also still mad about them not attending his first wedding.
You show up to my first fucking wedding. You ain't my family.
And really just disregards them having their own situation going on because he was having a moment.
I ain't gonna nobody nothing. And me and my wife beefing. I don't care if the house on fire. Dying, nigga, I ain't leaving.
This is really just an interview that no one asked for and that should have never happened. Even before the interview and before Kanye putting on the KKK suit, DJ Academics was already aware that this was going to happen. I would have just immediately canceled the interview because that's just stupid to do. But being that it's Academics, he's just looking to get that next big clip or to look like the guy that has exclusive information all the time. Surprisingly, throughout the entire interview, they didn't really talk about Kanye's current music, which is kind of interesting because Kanye did post on Twitter the full video version of Bully. And overall, it doesn't even sound bad. It's actually a really good direction for Kanye to go in.
They switching sides, I seen it coming. The plot twist, a convenient one.
But with half of the vocals being AI, and with everything he's done in recent history in mind, it's really hard to appreciate the music.
I am an evil person.
He has announced a new album called World War III, and during the announcement he did post the cover for the album, which is a picture of 2 KKK members getting married, but one of them is black, and it's a direct rip-off of this picture. The first song off the album has already been released, and it features Dave Blunt's. Production-wise, the song is good, but the song is totally ruined by the lyrics. We also heard a snippet of track 7, which is a song where Kanye is praising a certain German figure who has a weird mustache. Even though World War III was only announced in the past couple of weeks, the album has already been renamed to Cuck, which Kanye also said is a genre of music he's making. This also comes after he put out a barrage of tweets about his porn addiction, degraded women, and admitted to sexual harassment. In the midst of this, he also apologized to Jay-Z for the prior tweets that he sent about him. The big moment happened when Kanye tweeted about exposing one of his cousins who was serving life in jail for killing a pregnant woman to dirty magazines when he was only 6 years old, going on to mention how that they acted out what they saw in the magazines and had a sexual relationship with him until Kanye was 14 years old. In the tweet, he also premieres a new song called Cousins, where he describes the situation.
what that should mean. And we start reenacting everything that we are saying. That's when.
And while on one hand, I'm happy for the guy to be able to get something like this off his chest, especially for holding this in for 30 plus years, and that definitely takes a lot of vulnerability to do something like that. Oftentimes when it comes to traumatic events like this, especially those that occurred in childhood, black men in particular are usually forced to just deal with it and suppress that traumatic event for as long as they possibly can take it and never reveal it, as Kanye's been doing for all these years. But as we all know, that's not a good way to live, and that's not a healthy way to deal with trauma, because it just leaves the root problem under the surface, embedding itself deeper and deeper, making the problem worse over time, especially if you never talk to anybody about the situation or seek help to overcome the situation, something again often looked down on by black men because it's seen as weak.
Say that again. What you doing?
Therapy.
Up until recent years where mental health became more of a topic, you would typically just be forced to take something like this to your grave.
Really need some therapy.
Real nigga need no therapy. Fuck you talking about?
So on one hand, I'm happy for the guy to be able to be open about a situation like this and be vulnerable with the public. On the other hand, I don't agree with him tweeting this. It's very clear, especially now, that Kanye deals with mental illness, and it's something he's been struggling with for years. And it's clear a lot of his outbursts and actions throughout his whole entire career have stemmed from a lot of childhood trauma that's gone unhealed. Realistically, Kanye shouldn't be on the internet right now at all. He shouldn't be working on albums. He shouldn't be doing anything really creative unless it's just for his personal use. With what he's dealing with right now, he should be seeking help to get better and not feeding into his fame and celebrity and his fans asking for new products or new music. And being that Kanye's a billionaire, he doesn't need to be releasing any albums right now. He doesn't need to release any more products even going forward. Honestly, he doesn't need to do anything for the rest of his life. Personally, for someone who's loved his music and his art and supported him as a person for the past 10 years, I'd be happy with never getting anything from Kanye ever again if that meant he can go away and step away from the limelight and just focus on healing as a person and finding peace.
Kanye step away from the limelight.
At this stage in his career, there's nothing more that Kanye really needs to do and or accomplish. He's already shaped music, fashion, and culture. And while Kanye is the type of artist that has unlimited potential, but after years of dealing with his mental health struggles in public, the world at large has pretty much become fatigued with dealing with Kanye, because even though he's gifted creatively, what it takes to get that creativity out of him is just too high of a price to pay, especially as we see him unraveling more and more. And with him unraveling more and more, his end goal ultimately comes harder to understand. And now with him having beef with pretty much every person he's had a relationship with throughout his career, it's hard to imagine him receiving any mainstream support from other artists he's worked with in the past, even after the tweet about his cousin. Regardless, only time will tell what happens to Kanye next. At the end of the day, we're all human, and life is usually unfair. We're oftentimes forced to deal with very traumatic events as a kid before we're even able to understand the complexity of the situations we're in and the lasting effect it will have on us for the years to come. And while some events may be harder to overcome than others, they're ultimately battles and struggles that we're forced to overcome for the betterment of ourselves. And the process of overcoming these struggles may feel like climbing a mountain, but when you get to the top of that mountain, you're able to look back on the journey that it took you to get there, but you're also able to look onward to all the places that you can go now that you've made it this far.
Ka-Kafanee.